What is up, Guardians? It's Macabre, and we're back with yet another Destiny 2 video. Now, in today's video, we're going to be discussing 5 builds that you do not see used in PVE, but are utterly bonkers. Yes, utterly bonkers. Star Wars claims it so, right? No, but seriously, these are 5 builds that I feel like don't see enough playtime, and I don't understand why, because they are really good. As you can see in the background gameplay, this is one of the first builds we're going to be using today, and it is on Warlock, yes, and don't worry, we'll mix it up. There'll be some of on each class, but this build is insane, and no one uses it. Matter of fact, some people have the audacity to say that Striga is not even that good of a weapon. I don't understand. It makes no sense in my head. But the goal of today's video is to show you 5 builds that you can use in just about any sort of PvE content and do really well with. Alright, so let's jump into our first build. It is on Void Warlock. We are running Striga and Necrotic Grips. Looking at our fragments and everything on the Void. Vortex Nova Bomb, Healing Rift, the only melee we have. I am running Vortex, however run whatever grenade you are feeling. Child of the Old Gods and Feed the Void, as Child of the Old Gods pairs really well with poisoning stuff, just saying. Echo of Leeching, Echo of Remnants, Echo of Undermining, and Echo of Instability are our fragments. Now jumping over to the stuff you will need on your armor. Protective Light and Kinetic Siphon are the 2 important things on your helmet. Fastball, I feel, is a must for every single Void grenade in the game, unfortunately. I'm running Overload SMG as that pairs for endgame content, and we are using Osteo, so why not? And Elemental Charge. Reaping Wellmaker, as well as 2 different damage resistance types on chest piece, is also a must. Absolution, not necessarily a must. If you want a scavenger for one of your weapons, you totally can, but taking charge is something you need. And then lastly, on our bond, I have charged up as the only important thing. You can see I'm running Lucient Finisher as well as Lord Kelvin's Basilisk, but those things are going to be gone next season. So perhaps you get this video and you watch it later on, you can substitute any sort of seasonal mod that goes on your bond that you think will fit better, but charged up is definitely a must to have. The way this build works is you use Osteo to slay out and kill as many ads as possible, while Wilder Flight and Retrofit Escapade, or your special and heavy weapon of your choosing, are going to be damage dealers for your champions, for your bosses, anything like that. But really, Osteo does a very good job of clearing just about everything. Make sure you proc Devour before you start killing things, that way you're more or less invincible, but this build is incredible. Now let's move on to a Hunter build that revolves around the Arc subclass. Now moving over to our second build, it is for our Arc Hunters. Now, I know this build, I was going back and forth between this and a Void build. We are going to have another Hunter build later on in the video, but I felt like Arc just felt really good. Now, a lot of people are changing this build. They're not using Assassin's Cowl. I love it, though, and it gives us some crazy healing as well as invisibility on Arc, which isn't everything, or isn't something that you ordinarily see. So let's real quick. Obviously, we are running Gathering Storm. Gambler's Dodge is important here. Combination Blow, any grenade if you're choosing. Our aspects are Lethal, Current, and Flow State. Fragments, Feedback, Resistance, Volts, and Shock. You need to have a 1-2 punch shotgun as well. If you can have it with enhanced perks, all that much better. And any other weapons of your choosing really work, although I do not recommend having an energy or any sort of weapon that you're going to use to clear ads, as that is what you're going to be punching for, right? On your armor pieces, double hands-on as well as Well of Ions on our Assassin's Cowl, double impact induction, and elemental charge. Any sort of resistance mod combination that you would like, and melee Wellmaker, double invigoration and powerful friends, and then outreach and striking light. You can pair any other seasonal mods that are on the artifact if you would like, but I think this build works pretty well without any in the first place, so keep that in mind. Also, on your arms, feel free to take an impact induction away and put some sort of champion weapon mod on there if you're running this in endgame content. But that is our second build. Here's some gameplay that backs up why it is so good. Now moving on to our third build, we're on Stasis Titan. Real quick, a couple important things. Glacier Grenade, our aspects are Tectonic Harvest and Howl of the Storm, Fragments, Fissures, Chains, Shards, and Fractures. Now, a couple things you absolutely do need for this build, in my opinion: Aegir's Scepter as well as Hoarfrost Z, as these tie the build together. Any sort of heavy weapon that is stasis will work well here. Any sort of energy weapon of your choosing. I just happen to go double special because I like big stick. Anyways, moving over to our mods on our armor. Font of Might, Harmonic Siphon are the important ones on our helmet. Any sort of champion mod that you might want to run, as well as Fastball, but Fastball is absolutely not needed. Trace Wrath Reserves feels like a must when you're using Aegir's Scepter. Any sort of resistance mod that you'd like, and Seeking Wells. Elemental Armaments, Recuperation, and any sort of scavenger mod. I'm using Fire and Forget, so obviously Linear Fusion Scav for me personally here. Double Utility Kickstart and Elemental Shards to tie the entire thing together. The way this build will work is you spam your Barricade, which becomes Stasis Crystals, and your Grenade as much as humanly possible, giving you Font of Might to pair with Aegir's Scepter and Fire and Forget. And it works really, really well. Also, make sure that you are breaking the shards of your Barricade and your Grenade, as that will regenerate your other abilities and those abilities that much faster. Overall, this build is a blast, and I highly recommend that you watch some of the gameplay to see exactly how it works. That's not enemy. Wait a minute.
Shit, there's one over by me. Apparently there's two by me.
Have y'all tried Fire and Forget since it's been fixed? Moving on to our fourth build, another Hunter build. This is on Gunslinger, our Solar Hunter this time, and we're mixing things up a little bit from the Arc build, but a lot of similar things. The nice thing with this build is very similar to the Arc build. You do not need any particular weapons, so feel free to run whatever you would like. There is some synergy with solar weapons, and you can totally stack with Font of Might if you would like, but let's jump into what is on our subclass. I'm running Blade Barrage. I just feel like the damage is really, really good. Gambler's Dodge is a must, any jump of your choosing. Proximity Explosive Knife. Now this is important, and it pairs well with Caliban's Hand. Healing Grenade for some added benefits there. On your mark, and knock them down are our aspects. As for our fragments, we have Combustion, Singeing, Wonder, Empyrean, and Torches. All very, very important to have. Moving over to our armor, a single hands-on, a harmonic siphon, and radiant light. Fastball is a must, I feel like, if you're going to be using this to support another player, if you are doing this in something that's not solo. And healing grenades are really, really good, and if you want to support, having Fastball allows you to throw it that much further and get it to where it needs to go to heal your teammate. Elemental armaments as well. Any sort of resistance mods, as like I said in all of these others, it's up to you which you want to use. Melee Well Maker, that's going to drop a solar elemental well. Double Invigoration and Powerful Friends yet again, and then Outreach and Striking Light. Very, very similar setup to what we see with the Arc Hunter build that I displayed earlier, but this time we're on a different subclass. It does a lot of the same things though. Get a kill with your melee and everything explodes nearby. Once again, watch some of this gameplay and it will show you just how good this build really is. Now, moving on to our fifth and final build, it is also on Titan. I decided to make sure that there was 2 Titan and 2 Hunter, as I don't put out as many Titan and Hunter builds as I do Warlock builds on the channel. So if you're a Warlock and you're looking for some other builds to run, go check out the build guide playlist on my channel, and there are several very, very good options on there. Now, anyways, this is a Void build, okay? We're running Ward of Dawn. You can run whatever super you want, whatever barricade, whatever jump. Do recommend shield throw, and I'll get into that in a bit. Suppressor nade is a must. Our aspects: controlled demolition and offensive bulwark. Fragments: expulsion, instability, starvation, undermining. Okay? Now, this one is last for a reason. Some people do not have access to Witch Queen content, and others, even if you do, have not had the RNG of having Collective Obligation drop, but that's what ties this entire build together. Collective Obligation, and then unfortunately we are using Hoyle. I know a lot of builds revolve around it, but this build is not going to be an exception to that. This build is very, very good though, and if you have Collective Obligation and you have a decent Hoyle, I recommend giving this a shot. Now, on our armor, what mods am I running? Ashes to Assets, just 1 combi, Elemental Ordnance. I am running Anti-Barrier Pulse Rifle because that's what it is this season. If there's any sort of champion modifiers that you need to work around and Collective Obligation can do so in the season, I highly recommend it. Fastball, our Suppressor Grenade's going to work very well, and Well of Ordnance. Once again, same thing I've been saying all video long. Any sort of resistance mods you would like, and then another Elemental Ordnance. Here I have a Linear Fusion Scav. I have the room for it. I would like ammo, and then 1 recuperation mod. And then lastly, Perpetuation and Weakened Clear. Weakened Clear works well. It's the seasonal mod. However, in future seasons, if you're watching this and Weakened Clear is not a thing, use whatever debuff artifact mod that you would like, or any other artifact mods that you think work well. This could easily be replaced with Lucent Finisher, for example. Anyways, the way this works is you throw a grenade. You are going to then debuff the target, and I recommend you use Collective Obligation and, to its full extent, collect Suppression, Weakening, and Volatile by shooting it. Once you have all 3 dots, activate the Void Leech buff, and this thing shreds through ads. It is very good for ad clear. You take it into higher end content with champions, and it destroys champions as well. So this build works really, really well, and once again, here's some more gameplay to back it up. So that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed all of the gameplay, all 5 of the different builds that I gave in this video. All of them work really, really, really well. And once again, if these builds aren't what you're looking for, perhaps you want a different Warlock build, or the Titan builds I listed weren't for you, feel free to check out the channel, as I have several builds for for all 3 classes on here already that I recommend you go and check out and maybe take those instead. But I felt like these are 5 builds that do not see enough playtime, and I don't quite understand why, because they are really, really good. Anyways, I hope you took at least one of these builds and make it your own. Change it up a little bit. Down below there are dim links for every single one of these builds that you can just go ahead and copy and paste and work around the best to your abilities if you use dim. with that, I got nothing else to say. Either catch you in the next stream over on Twitch, or catch you in this next YouTube video. Get back to grinding, and be a crazy guardians.